Well, if our next guest's meter were running right now, I need to win that $1,000 contest because I'm probably going to eat that much up the next few minutes talking with Bernie Rhodes, who's been with Lathrop GPM in Kansas City for 40 years. He's in charge of all of their media law practice group, and he faces all kinds of big cases, high profile, high stakes, high risk. And he was a part of a piece on Channel 9 last night concerning the First Amendment, free speech, and Jimmy Kimmel being terminated. He's been kind enough to join us today. Bernie, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Kevin. I'm sorry, I got to go. Your money is already up.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's over. It's over. Is it true? Do you wear socks that say emergency contact person?
Yes, a client gave me those. I represent all the media around town and around a couple of states, and that means I get calls at every time of the morning or night, and a client gave me those, and I wear them proudly.
Man, I didn't know to call you 5 years ago. I should have known that. That's bad on me. We might have had some good business to take care of, my good friend. All right,
exactly.
Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel, and he's indefinitely suspended, so we don't know that he's terminated at this point. He has a contract. I think they're working through it. There's been reports they saw him going into his lawyer's office and something in Beverly Hills. So this thing will probably all shake out. You made a comment to Channel 9 now that you said, what I care is they apparently did it in response to the chairman of the SEC saying ABC better do something about Kimmel. Do you still believe that, knowing what we've seen about this story, and why does that make this different?
What makes this difference is that's the government putting the thumb on ABC. ABC's a big company owned by Disney. They make financial decisions every day, how much they're going to raise the ticket price at Disney World. But the decision to get rid of the Kimmel show, suspend the Kimmel show, was clearly done at the direction of the government, because Brendan Carr went on this podcast and said Disney can do it the easy way or the hard way. So it's when the government starts telling us what comedians we can listen to, what comedians we can't, what news we can listen to, what news we can't. That's what scares me, because the First Amendment is what protects us from the government dictating what we like or don't like.
I agree with you, but did the FCC do that?
Heck yes, they did that.
You think they're responsible for him being fired?
Well, again, let's be clear. He hasn't been fired.
Okay,
but I don't
suspended.
I don't think there's any doubt that ABC acted, at least in part, in reaction to what Brendan Carr said. Now, following Brendan Carr, the affiliates, one of which is facing a merger and needs Brendan Carr, the FCC's approval, said they were going to pull out of the show. But the government should be staying out of this entirely. This is what the First Amendment is about. If I don't like what you say, I get my own show, or I go on another show and say Kevin Keatsman is crazy. I don't go to the government and say pull KCMO's license.
Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel made these comments at work. Roseanne Barr got fired by ABC and her show canceled. How is it different?
The FCC didn't tell ABC to cancel Roseanne Barr. That's the difference.
Well, but the fact of the matter is an employee said something and they terminated him for the things that they said. That's not a violation of free speech. That's a company making a decision.
That's exactly right. The First Amendment protects us against the government intruding on our free speech. It doesn't protect what you say or what I say to each other, and what our employer thinks about it, or what my spouse thinks about it. You don't have a First Amendment right to do something that offends someone else. You have a First Amendment right to do something that offends the government.
Okay, so if you go to court on a case like this against an FCC attorney, and the FCC attorney says, we've been ignoring the actual laws and rules and regulations of the FCC for decades now, and public broadcasters on airwaves have a different responsibility in their community, and we're simply upholding that where it's not been upheld for 20, 30, 40 years. How do you defeat that in court?
I asked him, can he spell the word hypocrisy? Because last week, a Fox commentator said that mentally ill homeless people should receive lethal injection. So it's a sham to say that all of a sudden we're enforcing the law. They're not enforcing the law. They're enforcing their dogma.
That was not on broadcast television. That was on cable, where the rules are entirely different.
They're not entirely different because Fox owns television stations.
They most certainly are. Those were not on Fox television stations. It was on Fox News, which is on cable. And if I say something on KCMO, I have a podcast and a radio show. I can say anything I want on my podcast. If I walk around here and tell good-looking ladies that work here that they're hot and I want to have sex with them, they're going to fire me. Is that violating my free speech? No. Now, what? Okay, so what if I use the N-word right here over and over and over on my show over the broadcast airwaves? Do you think I get fired, and do I have any recourse because the FCC says I can't?
No.
The FCC says I can't do it, right?
Right.
Okay, did Jimmy Kimmel make a factual mistake when he said over the weekend we learned that the shooter was MAGA? I don't know if he made a factual mistake or not, but the whole point is... Okay, his employer asked him to correct that mistake. They asked him to correct the mistake and apologize for it, and he refused and was going to double down, and that's when they fired him. You think you could win that case? Absolutely, I could win that case. Really? Because the whole point is we need breathing space. You know, news is called the first draft of history because we make mistakes. I mean, this is not Better Homes and Gardens. We don't guarantee and get your money back if we get something wrong. This is breaking news. This was an event that had just happened. People make mistakes all the time. And his bosses said, correct. Made a mistake I've 100% have. 100% have. And I've worked in organizations all the time that have said, go correct the error. Say we misspoke, we made a mistake, we were wrong, we apologize, whatever it may be, do that. Jimmy Kimmel did not do that. And that's when he got fired or when he got suspended. He refused to do it. That's going to be hard to beat in court, isn't it? How do you blame that on the FCC? You blame it on the FCC because they said they could do it the easy way or the hard way. Right. And it's clear that, that this is not the first mistake Jimmy Kimmel has ever made. Okay. It's not the last mistake a late-night comedian will make. Right. Okay. So and if you don't like it, you switch over and watch Jimmy Fallon. That's what you do. You don't have the government come in and tell him you got to fire somebody. I don't know much about contract law, but I'm going to guess his contract states that Disney and ABC are the bosses when it comes to the content of the show and control and production, and there are rules, regulations within the company and things he can and can't do. I'm guessing he has a clause in that contract. Sounds to me like he broke it. If your boss tells you to go correct an error, a mistake, and apologize for it, and you won't do it, you don't think they have the right to suspend that guy because the FCC made some comments? No, I don't think they do. Wow. Once the FCC weighs in. And you think the law would see it that way? The court system would see it that way? Absolutely, the court would see it that way. Because, do you think that's right? Yes, I absolutely think that's right. Because the government should be staying out of the First Amendment. But what did the government have to do with Jimmy Kimmel not apologizing? The government is who told ABC, you need to do something about it. But they weren't doing anything until Jimmy Kimmel didn't apologize. That's when they did it. I don't know that. Well, that's widely reported. That's widely reported everywhere now. But I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Okay. Was it that, or was it the FCC? What I understand is that the FCC, Brendan Carr came out on the air, on the podcast, before Jimmy Kimmel, before the audience got called in for the next night's show. And so I don't know that anybody had decided what Jimmy Kimmel was going to do before the decision was made to not let the audience in. So I think you're jumping to conclusions and thinking that you know what the reason was. I know for a fact what Brendan Carr said on the podcast. There's no doubt about that. Right. I can go watch that. Okay. And we know that Jimmy Kimmel was ready to tape his show and had written his monologue and was there, and the show was getting ready to record when they pulled the plug and turned the lights off and said, you're not doing this. They saw the script. They saw what he was going to do, and they pulled the plug. They were going to let him continue if he apologized. And he wouldn't. They were going to let him continue until Brendan Carr said we can do it the easy way or the hard way. He said that prior. That fact. He said that prior. He said that prior. Yes, he said that prior. But that moment on, was it Tuesday, that Jimmy Kimmel's got his staff there, the show's ready to go. They tape at like 4:30 in the afternoon. An hour and a half before that, the scripts are all in. Everything's ready to go. The lights are on. Guillermo's there. They're getting ready to do their show. And they look at it and they go, well, he's not apologizing. He's doubling down. And that's when they said, turn the lights out on the building and get him out of here. Isn't that what comedians do? I mean, isn't that what satire is? We used to have a president from Missouri
who said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of being a public official, of being the guardian of the public, is you got to put up with the heat. And that includes late night comedians.
Dude, I agree.
My God, if you can't stand the heat from late night comedians, what heat are you going to stand?
Well, apparently Disney Corp and ABC ain't going to take the heat because they got a whole bunch of affiliates really upset with him, with a guy that we're going to learn the show was losing probably as much as Colbert. His contract expires next year, and that was probably going to be the end anyway. These things are going away. These shows are going away on their own just for business purposes. They're all losing money. The people are overpaid. The staffs are bloated. We're going to learn. I feel certain, you know this about media. You know the changing landscape in media. I'm pretty sure that you're certain we're going to learn that too, right? Wouldn't you think this was a giant money-losing proposition every night?
You know, I don't know, but I know that news loses business, and we still have the news because it's a public service that is being provided, and the satire from people like Colbert is something that we desperately need in this country, because we can't have a discourse, and so making fun of things is a way to encourage that discourse, and we need more, not less, of that discourse.
Right. Okay, so newspapers are losing money because nobody holds a newspaper in their hand anymore. I know that their business has changed, but like the local television stations here, Fox 4 is making money, KCMO Talk Radio is making money. There's all kinds of news outlets because there are more news outlets than ever before. There's plenty of people making money in news. The news industry is not losing money. Old school news,
That's
the
right.
changing media are losing money. And this is part of that.
Right. That's right.
Nobody watches late night anymore. That's really the problem.
Well, you know, I'm 69 years old. I don't stay up till 10:30 to watch the late night comedy shows.
Let me ask you something. If Johnny Carson were on, would you be watching?
No, I wouldn't be.
I'll bet you watched him a lot. I'll bet you watched him every night.
But I am still up at 5:30 when the national news is on.
Yeah.
And if Brendan Carr can tell ABC and Disney what comedians they can have on, they can tell ABC and Disney what news they can have on during the national news at 5:30. And that's what is most frightening about this.
Didn't ABC News already lose a $16 million lawsuit to the president?
What's your question? Did they lose it?
Did they lose?
Heck,
They
no,
settled.
They did not lose it. They would have won that case.
So if you didn't go to court, wait. If you went to court and your client were awarded $16 million, you wouldn't say you won the case?
If I went to court, they didn't go to court.
If you didn't go to court,
caved.
if you settled on behalf of your client and he got a $16 million settlement, you wouldn't say you won the case for your client?
No, I settled it for $16 million.
Okay.
I didn't win it. That's what courts do. You know, that's what I get paid to do, is go to court and win. You know, I don't get paid to settle.
If you want to settle one for me for 16 minutes, $16 million. I'm going to give you the biggest trophy you ever saw and crown you the greatest winner in legal history.
Yeah, and that's the whole problem here. ABC and everyone else is running scared and is settling cases that never in 100 years should have been settled.
All right, I want to ask you one personal question, and I'm really skating the edge here, okay? Theoretically, if I worked in a company and I were, part owner or something and had my own show and did something, and an outside entity that was affiliated with the company, like a partner or something, a separate company, was really pressing their thumb down and didn't like the fact that I was on the air, and my company made a decision, boy, that partnership with those people and they're interfering in doing this, is that legal or illegal for a second company to interfere with someone's employment?
If the second company is not the government, it's legal.
It's legal.
I know you don't want to hear this, but it's legal. I'm
just curious. I've always wondered. Yeah. So any company can come in and interfere with any employee of another company, and that's legal.
An investor in a company can say, "Here's how I want the company to go."
Not an investor.
Wants to change but I'm saying, as long as it's not the government.
Right.
If you've got a partner in your company, and I don't mean that.
I stated that improperly.
Partner.
I don't mean an investor.
Yeah.
I mean a separate company that you do business with.
You and I both know what you're talking about. And and yes, that is legal because that's not the government. You don't have a First Amendment right to protect you against another company.
Okay, but wait.
You have a First Amendment right to protect you against the government.
What if it's not a First Amendment issue? What if it's we're not going to remain your partner, a quid pro quo? What if we're not going to remain your partner if something doesn't happen here?
Well, then you get to what we call tortious interference with contract, and that becomes a state law issue and not a First Amendment issue.
What are the statutes and limitations on things like that?
In your case, they've long passed.
Yeah. I knew it. I'm good. I'm good. I do think back and wonder, I wonder if this or that or whatever. Dude, I got to have you on like all the time. Will you come on? I know you're expensive, but my God, could you like come sit in for an hour and take calls sometime?
This is what I do for a living. This is what I believe in. And so I'll appear even on your show, Kevin.
I love it, man. I don't even know you, and I love you. This was fun, and I know we're disagreeing on this particular issue, but you won't find anybody more supportive of the First Amendment than me. I love it. That's great.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Yes. Yeah.
Well done, Bernie. Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Wow. It doesn't get any better than that, folks. Bernie Rhodes, Lathrop GPM. He's been a media law attorney specializing in the First Amendment for 40 years at Lathrop. That was fun.